Oh no!
Hello, we're back with another Play or Pass, where we give you our thoughts on some of the newest and best co-op and multiplayer games. Today we're covering Risk of Rain 2, a co-op roguelike third-person shooter developed by a small team at Hopoo Games that was released as early access in 2019. In Risk of Rain 2, you begin each of your playthroughs in the shoes of an unfortunate survivor. Stranded on an alien hostile planet, you begin with almost no equipment and very limited tools at your disposal. And as you fight for your life, you'll have to navigate 10 open, explorable and hostile environments, each one teeming with difficult boss fights and waves of aliens hell-bent on ending your life. And like many other games in the roguelike genre, the addictive hooks of Risk of Rain quickly set in through a combination of your character's power progression, the loot system, and the increasing difficulty of enemies over time. To help you survive along the way, each map has a number of different chests to loot that provide different offensive and defensive buffs. And when used in different combinations, these buffs can lead to some pretty interesting playstyles. For example, one double jump buff lets you enjoy a little more mobility, but stack 5 double jump buffs and you're now enjoying more time in the air than you are on the ground. The more of these items you grab, the more powerful your little survivor becomes. This year on the 11th of August, Risk of Rain 2 had its full release, so we jumped on to find out whether this fast-paced roguelike is a play or a pass.
Risk of Rain 2 is the aptly named sequel to the incredibly popular Risk of Rain, sporting the full roguelike experience, which, for those who don't know, means playing through procedurally generated maps, accumulating upgrades and strengthening your character as you progress through increasing instances of difficulty. Once you fail, however, all progress is lost and you and your team must start from scratch again. Visuals are purposefully dated. The audio backs this up too, creating an atmospheric ambience that really takes control of your senses, leaving you immersed from the get-go. The UI is clean and not overbearing. A lot of good information is shown, but you aren't required to constantly check it to do well. Landing onto the unique procedural environment, we got instant satisfaction from shooting these early game enemies. Our starting character had 4 skills, and played like your typical all-rounder. A high fire rate, low damage main attack, a high damage single fire shot, a combat roll, and a short burst rapid fire ability. Each enemy killed would net us an amount of cash, spent on different loot containers scattered across the map. These each have a chance to provide various items depending on what type of container you come across, and generally stay with your character until you've lost the game. There are currently just under 100 items and equipment. Some synergize with each other better than others. This is where you get a good mixture of dopamine-induced random chance and also the opportunity to make the most of the synergies you're offered in order to come up with a sort of build. In most cases, you'll be randomly awarded these items from crates. Most are passive buffs, but you have an active slot for those that need triggering. However, there is a chance that you can run into the 3D printer, for example, allowing you to exchange a random item of the same rarity than the one displayed. This can be used multiple times to stack that particular item, greatly increasing your power in a certain style of play. In some other instances, you can choose to spend your valuable cash on specific items. If you come across these, you are given 3 choices, allowing you to purchase just one of the options before shutting shop. Drones are also littered around the place that deal damage to enemies or heal your character. The healing drones in particular seem to carry us through every mistake on one of our longer runs, so is well worth the cash investment. Although progression is generally lost, through a number of different challenges and objectives, you are able to unlock new survivors to play.
In Risk of Rain 2, the survivors are the different playable classes you pick before entering your next run. Each survivor has their own active and passive abilities, and they all have different playstyles. In total, there are 10 playable survivors. You begin the game with only the Commando unlocked, and you have to unlock the others by completing various challenges as you play. To be honest, they don't take a massive amount of time to unlock, and during our session we unlocked 2 more. The starting Commando is a jack-of-all-trades character that's reliable in all different types of situations. This survivor was our favourite of the ones we played. It has solid weapons and abilities, and they're pretty balanced down the middle with regards to defensiveness and offensiveness. The second character we unlocked was the Huntress, an extremely mobile but very fragile survivor with a high damage output. One of the benefits of this survivor is the bow that homes onto the target as a main weapon. This means that you can get away without having perfect aim. In addition, the mobility can also help you get out of pretty difficult situations. However, the lack of health and durability means that things with this class get a bit tricky over time when your enemies get more difficult and begin to hit pretty hard. The third survivor we unlocked was Multi, an aggressive tank-like survivor whose multi-tool means that you can fire quickly for less damage per shot or fire more slowly for single-shot massive damage. Of all of the survivors, Multi has the most health, but it's also very slow. And the issue with the slower survivors is that there's a massive importance of mobility because you can quite easily get mobbed by dozens of enemies.
There are 10 environments in total, each with distinct enemies to overcome. Leaving one environment to go to the next involves finding the teleporter, activating it, and defeating the boss. Progress is indicated in the top right, showing the stage you're on and the length of time you've been in the session. The difficulty is shown on the timeline, going through easy, medium, hard, insane, and all the way up to ha 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 ha. You can get a glimpse of it here. This is actually an endless difficulty for those that aren't scrubs, and have the time, I guess. Later on, as you start approaching the hard stage, the experience starts to switch a little. Skillfully using your weapon becomes less and less impactful, until you have to start mostly relying on your items to progress. I think this is understandable. A lot of games like this work in the same way, but as someone who really enjoys the shooter element, it lost a bit of its fun for me. I had noticed some items that if stacked would improve weapon damage, however I did not get an opportunity to build them. In addition to what is an already solid gameplay loop, there are a number of other features that keep the runs feeling fresh. By completing certain challenges before activating the teleporter, you can spawn a portal to one of 3 hidden realms that lead to a shop, a boss, or an opportunity to get a rare currency to spend on the battlefield. There is a solo mode called Prismatic Trial, where you compete on identical maps against other players to complete the map quickest, and this map changes every 72 hours. Eclipse is another solo game mode that gives some element of progression between runs. Completing a run applies a permanent modifier like starting health reduced by 50% and lethal fall damage to all successive runs. There are 8 modifiers in total that requires an incredibly skilled player to reach. One thing to consider is the length of time each normal run takes once you've learnt the game. The average run for us took around 50 minutes, which to a casual and even not so casual could mean most of your free time after a hard day at school or work, and we barely got to the final difficulty. The more we play the game, the longer the average run will take. If this works for you, then great. But for those that got too good at COD Zombies and quit because one run took up the entire evening, you may understand.
With a 96% rating on Steam, Risk of Rain 2 shows us yet again that great games don't need AAA budgets and massive development teams. They just need to be fun and well made. From the moment we spawned into this alien world to the moment we logged off, we found Risk of Rain 2 incredibly enjoyable for a number of different reasons. First of all, the graphics and sound design work really well together, and the result is a game that feels cool and retro, but has the response and performance of a clean modern title. Secondly, the combination of wave-based levels and the stacking of lootable buffs create a manic, chaotic, and overall exciting experience that keeps you on the edge of your seat as you try to take out seemingly endless waves of aliens with your teammates. Overall, we gave Risk of Rain 2 a 4 out of 5. It's clear about the type of game it wants to be, and we think it pulls it off excellently. The variety of both environments and loot means that there's a fair amount of replay value for something that would otherwise be a very repetitive game. And the execution of both gameplay, art style and sound make it a great playable experience, and one that makes you want to play one more time every time. If you have a few friends that want to have a laugh while trying to survive waves of enemies on an alien planet, it might be worth giving this game a go. Let us know what you think of Risk of Rain 2 in the comments, or let us know if it's a game that you think you might enjoy. We're the Bullet Sponges, and we'll see you in the next one.